Hey everyone, I'm going to be explaining a little bit about what breathing is like for a person having a casual conversation over coffee. And although the word casual is in that last sentence, this activity is actually considered a running speech breathing activity, and it would typically be classified as hyperventilation. The degree of ventilation in a casual conversation, though, is going to be lower than that of a more continuous speaking activity, like giving a speech or lecturing. And running speech is characterized by faster inspirations and slower expirations. So, because the speech sounds are produced on expiratory breaths, the length of the expirations is going to vary depending on how long the person is talking, the length of their phrases, and things like that. And also, the alveolar pressure of the person speaking is going to vary as well throughout the conversation, depending on how loud they're speaking or how much emphasis or stress they're using on particular words or sounds. And actually, this casual conversation over coffee could also lead to a need for a larger positive alveolar pressure. Like, let's say if the coffee shop got loud and busy and that required the person that was speaking to speak at a louder volume, or it could also vary depending on how animated the person was while they were talking or telling a story. Because this conversation is going to require both speaking and listening, each person engaged in the conversation is going to experience periods of breathing through their nose, likely while they're the person listening. And then they will also obviously be breathing through their mouth while they're the person speaking. Something I thought was really interesting that we learned about was that in conversational speaking, even the person that's listening in the conversation, their breathing tends to imitate the breathing of the person who's speaking. So their breathing actually becomes more like speech breathing with some of those faster inspirations and slower expirations than it would be if they were just sitting regular breathing without listening to another person speak. And another thing that I thought was interesting was that the most enjoyable conversations actually tend to be the ones where both people in the conversation have similar breathing rhythms. So that would be like a casual conversation, like the one I described with a friend or something like that. So even though this is considered that running speech breathing, the type of breathing in a casual conversation is not high drive breathing. While they're speaking, the velum is going to be raised and retracted to produce some of the oral speech sound, and it's going to be lowered during the nasal breathing, maybe while they're listening. And then the velum is also going to change position several times throughout the conversation, depending on if the person is listening, speaking, or what type of speech sounds they're producing. That's all I have. Thanks for listening.